But sometimes we in them and we forget who we are and whose we are. So I'm just reminding you today, knowing I got a flight, that you got to make sure that you bring that. So you walk in there, man, let me back up on this a little bit. And your soul, man, there's something inside. And it's churning. And you like, what's happening? But then you know what's happening because your soul is screaming out and it's saying, I am the number one determinant of the success or failure of my students. See, they're yours. They're yours. They're yours. Do you hear me? They're yours. So you walk in there, man. I am the number one determinant of the success or failure, watch this, y'all, of my, woo, they're yours. Students, they're yours. When you get back, kick some butt. And I'll see you in the winner's circle, celebrating your victory. Let's go, y'all. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Y'all got this, man. Thank you for letting me talk to y'all. Thank you.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 237 consecutively of the AP and New Principles Academy. Let me see who we got checking in. We got Mona Obermolak checking in from Orlando, Florida. Dr. Rachel Edo Eckett is down in Maryland. Yolanda McKinney's in Texas. Grace Castaneda is she's in Houston this morning. Good to see you. We got where we at. Michael Benton is in Cincinnati, Ohio. We got Takesha High in Virginia. Rodney Richardson in Hampton, Virginia. Blossom Joe. She said, good morning and looking forward to this live with Mr. Reed. We got Nadira Coley is right here in Jersey. Maplewood, New Jersey. We got Vanessa Zeskind is in Connecticut. Robin Snowden, Fresno, California. She said, Harambe. Good to see you, Robin. Appreciate you getting up early in the morning. We got Lisa DeBose Walker, Waco, Texas. Leslie Akintunde, Northern Virginia. Chancellor Davis, Las Vegas, Nevada. Lysandra Brackets is in North Carolina. Ronald Pugh is in Cedar Hill, Texas. Stacy Joy is in Los Angeles, California. Appreciate you getting up early every Saturday, Stacy Joy. We got where we at. AP Patrick Lawrence is he just said good morning. Oh, he's from Connecticut, but good morning to myself and the Queen. We got Yolanda. I said Yolanda. Dr. Rella Hicks is in the building. LaKenya Rowland is in the building. Tashika Truesdale is in Atlanta. I'll be down there next week. National Alliance of Black School Educators can't wait. And then the Black Male Educators convening the next day in Philly. That's those are two high points of the year, to be quite frank with you. We got Arlette Johnson is in the building in Connecticut, 2023 AP of the year. And I gotta say to y'all, as I look at this screen, you know, I was on I was watching a Facebook Live last night. So I was just somebody watching, and I noticed that they use StreamYard, and I noticed that when you post from Facebook, it's not going to show up as your name, right? It's just going to say Facebook user. So I'm not going to know who you are. So if you want me to know who you are, or when I highlight the post on the page, such as this, that's what you're going to see. You can go over to YouTube And that way I'll know it's you, right? If you want me to know, or if you want the world to know, right? So if not, then just stay on Facebook. But I'm not going to know who you are unless, like I did last night when I was watching this broadcast, I literally put my name after every comment I made, right? So if you want to put your name after the comment, put your name in parentheses or whatever. That way I'll know it's you, right? So with that, I see Marsha Poe is in the building. There's a whole lot of Facebook folks saying good morning. I don't know who the heck you are. Rod Laws is on YouTube. So as Marsha was, so good morning to you, and Hotep and Harambe to you as well. But now I see all these Facebooks, man. Yeah, all it says is Facebook user. You know, like Josh, it says Hefe. So yeah, I obviously I know that's you, Josh. Good morning to you. So look, y'all, if you're so inclined, don't shut your Facebook down, right? Because I still want that credit for Facebook. But going over to YouTube, if you have a YouTube channel, I mean YouTube account, and that way when you post and I put you on the screen, we'll know it's you. Other than that, let me get it started formally by saying to everybody, good morning, greetings, welcome to week 237 of the AP and New Principles Academy. And let me holler right quick. You know, I ask that same question every Saturday. I'm gonna ask you right now, how y'all feeling? Right? I'm gonna ask you calm like that too. How y'all feeling? How you doing? You know, I know there's people out there and you think I'm gonna talk about that election, but I'm really not. Right? I'm not. What I am going to say though, for those of you, because there was a lot of disappointment out here, right? And I guess I'm like into the election by just saying that, but there was a lot of disappointment out there in the world. I was one of them. I'll say that, and if you read my post, you know that. But I'm gonna say this to you. I have bounced back, and those of you who were disappointed, because it was, you know, I must have had about 2,000 likes and comments on that particular post, and folks saying they're not going to work that day and all that. Listen, today is the 9th. That was the 5th. I'm good. I'm in a good space. And let me tell you why. I'm still in love with life, right? I'm still loving life. So regardless of what's happening in the world, the political world, how we're impacted by it, at the end of the day, this dude that I see in this mirror every day, I love that cat, man. I'm loving life, right? And life is gonna be good. And that's how you got to look at it. See, I'm not going to dwell on the things I can't control. But those things that I either can control or that I have influence over, watch this. I got that. I got that. So enough said there. If you're not feeling good, pick yourself up as best you can, right? However way you need to do it, and get yourself back to where you need to be. Enough said. Let's go. Welcome to the first timers. If you are a first timer, that means you've missed 236 sessions. And as I say every week, there's not one session that I would say, that one I don't know about. Nah, they all dynamite. They're all powerful. So make sure that you go to the YouTube channel, AP and New Principles Academy. We're at 22,800 subscribers, be 22,801, right? Whatever it is, I don't know the 800, but subscribe, hit the button, subscribe, and then hit the notification bell so that you'll know every time I go live, right? So welcome if you're a first timer, but don't let this be your last time. Be sure to like and follow the AP and New Principles Academy Facebook page. For the first time in a few weeks, I will have my written commentary up tomorrow morning. So make sure that you like and follow the AP and New Principles Academy Facebook page and subscribe to the AP and New Principles Academy YouTube channel. Lastly, before I go to my monologue, let me just change this screen here slightly. Put this up here. You know, I gotta talk about, you know, we getting close. I just can't find it. Here we are. We getting close to that new joint. But before I get to it, the leadership books I've written, you know, I've written a lot of teacher books, but the leadership books, if you don't have it yet, the Assistant Principal 50, make sure you get your hands on it. Just go to Amazon or ASCD, but go to Amazon. That's probably easier for most people, and get yourself a copy. If you're a member of ASCD, then you get the member discount, right? But Either one. Assistant Principal 50, the Assistant Principal Identity, the Aspiring Principal 50, the Principal 50. Is my school a better school because I lead it? If you don't have these books, folks, but you are someone who tunes into the Academy, get yourself a copy because they accompany everything that we do on here. But that one that's sitting on the screen there, that's my 14th book. And let me tell you, that is, I can tell you definitively that this is the most important book that I've ever written, right? Because this is the book, we talk about teaching and learning, particularly learning is where the rubber meets the road, right? That's what the youngsters are in the building for, to learn. But I can't learn if the teaching is flawed, if it's deficient, if it's incompetent, etc. Just as a football player, a basketball player, a baseball player, a soccer player, a hockey player, whatever player needs coaching, not only when they're not playing, but even in the game. Well, if you're a principal out there, you're an assistant principal out there, you're an aspiring principal out there, coaching has to be at the core, at the heart and soul of your leadership. And if you've got teachers in classrooms who are uncoached, and I'm not talking about your superstars, but I'm talking about those folks who can elevate to another level, but they're uncoached. That's like that athlete who's on the field uncoached, right? So that's what this book is about. Your role. What is my value, my worth instructionally to the teachers I supervise? You can go to Amazon right now and pre-order, right? The book will be out December 16th, but you can pre-order now. I keep saying it, but I know it's different people that come on every Saturday. The last 4 books that I wrote sold out on release date, right? They sold out on release date. So I don't want you sending me all these emails talking about, Kafele, the book's not available. Yeah, because ASCD didn't anticipate the volume. So I want you to pre-order so that they know, because the book is not printed yet, so that they know how many they need to print. My hope is that they're going to print at least 10,000 copies, right? So pre-order now. You can go to Amazon right now. Go on a different device, pre-order, or tab, pre-order right now. Get it out the way. The book will be released on December 16th. Enough said. Let me go to my monologue, y'all, because I got the big time guest here, so I don't want to take too much time. But it was interesting. I had something on my mind. I had all this driving I had to do this week, man. I was up in Connecticut speaking. Matter of fact, I didn't do my shout out. So shout out to the Arizona Association of Latino at Latino Administrators. Let me do this right. Latino Administrators and Superintendents, right? Again, Arizona Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents Conference. I keynoted that conference in Maricopa, Arizona, the other day, last Sunday. So shout out to them. But then I went to Danbury, Connecticut, and spoke with administrators for, I guess, half the day. No, all day. Spoke to teachers. That's what it was. Special needs department, all day. And then I drove to Middletown, Connecticut, and spoke to administrators for a half day. That was a lot of driving. And then I drove back to Jersey. So just a lot of driving gave me a time to do a lot of thinking, a lot of reflecting about this work. And one of the things I thought about in doing all that driving, and I should also say shout out to My Brother's Keeper in New York. I do a training, a professional speaking training with them every year, twice a year. And we did that virtually as well this week. So shout out to My Brother's Keeper, New York City, New York State. But it gave me a chance to do a lot of thinking about leadership in general. And I got this monologue I put together. I'm gonna try to be quick with it because I want my guest up here. But it's called Protecting Your Credibility. Let me take the book down. Protecting Your Credibility. You'll recall about 2 weeks ago, I did Protecting Your Authority, right? Your authority as a leader. Well, this one, Protecting Your Credibility. And I'm asking the question, how would you go about compromising your own credibility, right? How would you go about compromising your own credibility? Well, let's look at a few items here. I'm gonna go through these quickly. I'm not gonna give you commentary with any of it because everything I'm gonna say, you can go to this book right here, The Assistant Principal Identity, and this is where this content is coming from, right? So your overall incompetence of a leader, your overall incompetence as a leader. So if you demonstrate incompetence, right, your credibility is shot. you may as well leave. Find yourself another job somewhere, because you have demonstrated incompetence as a leader of a school, as an assistant principal of a school. Number two, making promises you can't keep. So you're going to make promises to staff, make promises to students, make promises to parents, make promises to the community that you can't keep. Your credibility is shot, right? You have compromised your credibility. Next, behaviors that are inconsistent with your stated and written expectations for your school. So you're telling your staff, you're telling your students that we're going to do A, we're going to do B, we're going to achieve at these levels, whatever it is. But then your behaviors, what you do, is so inconsistent with these big goals that you have, these big dreams that you have, this big vision that you have. Your behaviors, if they're inconsistent with what you've stated and what you've written, you have compromised, you have undermined, you have sabotaged your own credibility. Next, your behaviors that lack professionalism. You got to understand that when you walk into that building, people are looking to you, at you for leadership. But if you're in there and you're acting other than leader, then your credibility is shot, right? Next, behaviors, lack of visibility. You the leader and we never see you. It appears you're absent. You got to be visible. Next, lack of urgency. Like everyone in that building's got to know that you want this thing yesterday. When I went into the schools that I led, I wanted to be able to demonstrate that these Black children in this urban environment with 95% free and reduced lunch can compete with youngsters born in wealth and privilege, living in the suburbs. I was leading with a sense of urgency to get it done. Next, lack of vision. How you going to lead and you have no vision? If you have no vision, you have no credibility. You got to see whatever it is that you're going to accomplish before you take the first step, before your school takes the first step. Last one, always talking the significance of effective and quality instruction, but deficient as an instructional leader. Once again, always talking the quality, talking the significance of effective and quality instruction. So you talk a good game, you write a good game, but you're deficient as an instructional leader and coach. Man, your credibility is gone. It's gone, right? So I got these 5 questions to consider, which I'm just going to race through them. Number 1, do I possess the expertise to competently coach the teachers I supervise on a variety of instructional methodologies? Am I that person? Number 2, am I perceived by my staff and students as competent and credible within my leadership? Number 3, do staff accept my advice and suggestions as credible? What about my background? What about my background would make my staff consider me a competent and credible leader? Coupled with what about my leadership would make my staff consider me a competent leader? And then lastly, do the members of my leadership team consider me a competent and credible leader? Imagine you have a leadership team, you and other APs, teacher leaders, instructional coaches, etc., and they don't have a perception that you're a good leader. Then it's going to be very difficult for you to be the leader that you aspire to be. So that's my commentary, y'all. Think about that. But if you want to go more in depth with it, go ahead and get you a copy of this. Even if you're a principal, it's still relevant and applicable to your practice. The assistant principal identity, protecting your leadership mindset, fervor, and authenticity. Oh, you know something? I just changed pages, and so I had one more. Here, let me give it to you. What measures have I taken to protect my authenticity of my leadership competency and credibility, right? So what measures have you taken to protect your leadership, protect the authenticity of my leadership competency and credibility? Hey, y'all, hit that like button. Hit that share button, hit that repost, hit that retweet, let them know, tag somebody, hit them Facebook leadership groups up, and let them know that we are here, we are live, we are ready. I'm ready to bring up my guest this morning, but let me make sure that I did, in fact, change that background. because I tend to be lax with that sometimes. I need to hire somebody to work with me. We good. So let me make this screen look right. We got the world renowned Mr. Reed, Dwayne Reed in the building, Rocky, representing Chicago. That's why I'm wearing my Chicago Negro Leagues, Chicago American Giants jersey this morning, one of the first teams of the Negro Leagues of 1920. Morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Principal. Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, thanks for accepting the call, man. Thanks for being here. Let me read your bio to the folks that may not know you, but once I show them this video, I think they all know you. Mr. Reed is an author, rapper, proud husband, father, and public school teacher in Chicago, Illinois. He is particularly recognized for his dynamic, high energy, and human-centered approach to teaching. In 2016, he released his viral music video, Welcome to the Fourth Grade, which garnered millions of views and catapulted him into an educational spotlight. Reed believes relationships mean everything in education and that every child, no matter their race or social status, deserves a fair chance at a quality education. His presence on social media continues to grow as he shares about his passions, including his family, work, and faith. Dwayne Reed is an author of several novels for children. Simon B. Pronounce that for me. Father B. Rhyme in the slang.
Right.
Okay. I got you. I ain't that far off. A picture book, All Good in the Hood, and a book written specifically for teachers called Be That Teacher, which I got in my possession right here, y'all. Be That Teacher.
Let's go.
Published by my man. Wait a minute. Let me stay focused. Be That Teacher. His message to all is one of grace, love, and equity, and his aim to rehumanize and learning experience, the learning experience for every scholar everywhere. Mr. Reed is in love with his wife and junior high sweetheart, Simone, and lives happily on the south side of Chicago. Great stuff. I was going to say my man Dave Burgess, publisher of the book. Hey, y'all, you all know Mr. Reed. And I want to bring this video up for you real quick. Take a listen. Let me just, I haven't shared on StreamYard in so long. I hope I do this right, y'all. I hope I do it right. It's been a long time, man. Been a long time. Let's see if we can get this going. Here we go.
Welcome to the fourth grade. So happy to meet you. Can't wait till I see you. Gonna have a good time. We'll learn about science. Find ways to apply it. And I bet that you'll like it. We're gonna have a good time. Welcome to the fourth grade.
Hello, I'm your teacher. My name's Mr. Reed, and it's very nice to meet ya. I'm from Chicago. I love eating pizza and I dress to impress, but I still rock sneakers. It's my first year teaching, so it's all real exciting. Got some ideas and I really like to try them, like making songs to remember what you hear. We'll be learning so much by the end of the year. Tell my friends and my peers, the parents and the students, I'm ready, you're ready, we're ready, let's do this. Yeah, but absolutely no daydreaming, working hard till the bell starts ringing.
Welcome to the fourth grade. So happy to meet you. Can't wait till I see you. We're gonna have a good time. We'll study mathematics, division and adding. And don't forget fractions. We're gonna have a good time. Welcome to the fourth grade.
I'll always greet you with a smile. I'll always try to make the lessons worthwhile. And when you do good work, I'll acknowledge, cause I know that you're headed off to work or to college. So we gotta keep it positive, that's the key. Have respect for each other and don't forget me. Have respect for yourselves and the staff and the school. Having fun can be cool when we're following following the rules, nah. Time's gonna fly. Before you know it, you'll be moving into grade 5. But for now, we'll be working and learning and singing all the way till the bell starts ringing.
Welcome to the 4th grade. So happy to meet you. Can't wait till I see you. We're gonna have a good time. We'll learn about English. Write papers and read them. A pluses, you'll see them. We're gonna have a good time. Welcome to the 4th grade.
Go teacher, go teacher, go teacher, go teacher, go.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. You know, when I was I've looked at it when it first came out, and I sent you a tweet or something. But then I started looking at all your other stuff, and you got one out there, and this is just one of the links. It's probably with other links combined, but the one is the morning song, 113 million views.
Yeah.
So we get excited about Shannon and Cat Williams with the 82 million, but you had 113 million views on this particular song. So those of you, I'm not gonna play that one, but those of you who are curious, just go to YouTube and check out all his work, his video work on YouTube. Got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What brought about this project? You were a first-year teacher when you did Welcome to the 4th grade. What made you do that? And did you anticipate it was going to do what it did?
Yeah, so I've always been musical. I was always the get up and sing, Mookie. They used to tell me in church, and I was always shy though. So what I wanted to do when I started my education journey was burst out of that shy shell and really come on the scene and be like, nah, this is who I'm gonna be. This is the weird, crazy teacher and person that I am. All up in your face with it. So, I decided, let me connect with my students before I even met them. And, music is something that connects all of us. It transcends race, any ideologies. So I said, let me connect, let me spit some rap, let me do what I do best. I know I'm interacting with these kids that like this kind of music as well. So that's what really got me into it. And I wanted to go past the, you know, hello, my name is Mr. Reed newsletter or, email blast that gets sent out. And I wanted to do something that was unique. I wanted to do something that was special. I wanted to do something that would get, parents and kids like kind of shook up, like, whoa, hold on. Who is this? Who is this dude rapping and singing and, being all playful like this? So that was the, idea for coming up with the Welcome to the 4th grade song and music video.
Powerful. Keep doing what you do, because I know you're blessing a lot of young people, a lot of parents, educators with your music, in addition to the work that you do. I got a question that I ask every guest that comes on to get us started. There's a totality of Dwayne Reed, but there's also a compartmentalization, a segment of you, and that's who you are as teacher. Here you are, you're a husband, you're a father, you've got another addition to the family, and that's going to be a major component, continue to be a major component of who you are as a human being, who you are as a man. But I want to look at that education side. As an educator, who is, and I'm gonna use the name that you like using, your Mr. Reed. Who is Mr. Reed?
Yeah. Mr. Reed, as an educator, is a human. Mr. Reed, as an educator, is empathic, is compassionate. And because Mr. Reed is those things, because I feel what other people feel, even if they don't say it or communicate it, that allows me the opportunity to tap in with them and connect with them in a way that they might never have received or experienced before.
Yeah.
I think, God has blessed me with that gift. And because my mindset is human first, because my mindset is compassion first, because my mindset is empathy first. Everything else falls under that umbrella, and whether good or bad gets swallowed up in the goodness of empathy, gets swallowed up in the goodness of compassion, gets swallowed up in the goodness of, I want every child to feel like they're my own biological child.
Mm.
Even when I didn't have kids, I wanted my kids to feel like my kids in the classroom, in that space. So that is who Mr. Reed is. I want to leave from my job when I get off at 3 on a Friday. I want to leave with a smile on my face, regardless of what happened, because it's some rough days. But regardless of what happened, I want to leave with a smile on my face, knowing that I treated somebody else's kid like I treat my own kid. Because if I've done that, then I feel like I've done well. Because that's what who wouldn't want that? Principal, you want your children to be treated, the same way you would lovingly treat them by their teachers. And I'm that teacher who treats your kid like it's my kid.
Yeah. We hold up the mirror for the fam out there, fam. Hey, fam, you heard what he just said. What about your students? Do you have that feeling that you are treating your students in your leadership capacities the way that you would treat your biological children? That matters. And that's certainly an obsession of mine during my 14 years of principal leadership. That was certainly one of my obsessions. Dwayne, there's a conference coming up next week that I mentioned in my opening. It's called Black Male Educators Convening. It's put on by good brother Sharif El-Mekki, who's been on this platform, good friend of mine. He's out of Philly, former principal, but he created an organization whose focus is on the recruitment, training, retention of Black men in education. Black men comprise, depending on whose data you look at, anywhere from 1.2 to 1.9% of the total teaching staff in America. So whether it be 1.9, 1.2, it's a very low percentage in relationship to the percentage of teachers who are out here. So as a teacher, myself as a 5th grade teacher in East Orange, New Jersey, I was, at the core of my work was obviously teaching and learning, but I was very much conscious and cognizant of the fact that I was a Black man in that building in East Orange, New Jersey. I was the only one in that building outside of the custodian. Right, it was he and I, because when I became a principal, I look at the custodian as one of the educators as well. So it was he and I only. So, but I went into this thing. Me being a Black man was an impetus of me wanting to teach in the first place. So my question to you, as a Black man, as a brother from Chicago, with that, what is your motivation for being at the elementary level, particularly as a classroom teacher?
Yeah, good question. So, one, I love everything about being Black. I'm rooting for everybody Black,
Yeah.
as Issa Rae would say. I think my appreciation for my ethnicity, my race, my culture spills out into everything that I do. I want to uplift Blackness, Black excellence, all that. So it shows up in how I show up as an educator. Like, when I come across my students, because I teach both Black and Latino students right now, when I come across to my students, I want to show my Black and brown kids, hey, you can be me. Like, you can be greater than me. Like, I'm just a stepping stone in your life. Like, use me and let it catapult you to greatness. I want to show up as my excellent self. I want to show up as my authentic self. I want to show up as a Black man, as my, like, man, are you slaying in the classroom? I had a student say to me the other day, I got off paternity leave and I came back, and it was a student I had. He was like, hey, Mr. Reed, why you ain't talking like you used to talk? I said, what you mean? You talking all proper now, like you tired of something? You mean like I just had a baby? I'm like, yeah, I just had a baby, bro. Like, but
yeah.
They pick up on the real. They pick up on what's authentic. They pick up on what you truly are. And that's something, as a Black man, that I want to make sure that I'm communicating every single day. I went on to MTV's TRL's television show at the time,
Mm.
and they recorded the segment. And one of my girls, fifth graders, she was like, on the west side of Chicago, why you get on TV and you talking like that? I said, what you mean talking like what? She, you was around some other people, huh? So you started talking like, I said, girl, sit down. But being able to have that conversation with them so candidly about, yeah, here's what code switching is. Like,
Yeah.
this is what this means. Or being able to have conversations with some of my boys, right? Eighth graders, like, hey, when you find yourself in the jam with law enforcement, here's how you need to proceed. So I feel like it's a blessing to be able to be Black, number one, but be Black in a space where you can help lift up the next generation and encourage them and push them and challenge them to be excellent. Because that definitely just comes from my Blackness, and I'm proud of that, man. I'm proud every single day I get to go in and talk with one of my kids and be like, hey, look, man, hey, and they
Yeah.
respond on some like, my teacher appreciates me, and not like, he called me little man. It's like, nah, you know what it is. I know what it is. That's what it is.
I love it. I'm getting ready to go off script now, man. Since you open up that can of worms, that is, I think about my years of teaching from a very long time ago in the 80s and 90s,
Mm,
and then moving on into the principalship. But bringing, because what I'm hearing from you is that word authenticity.
mm,
So bringing my authenticity so that I can continue to be me, but not necessarily become somebody different when I got in the classroom. So slang mattered to me as well. But even at 64 years old, there's no one that's ever been in my audience that wouldn't say, Kafele be using slang. He speaks Ebonics. That's what I do, because I made a decision. Even wearing these jerseys, and I got a closet of about 200 of them. Right,
wow.
these are authentic Negro League jerseys made of flannel, so you sweat when you wear these, right? But I too, I wear my Blackness on my sleeve, like I'm proud of who I am. And I find that in some situations, I need to make people understand that being in love with self doesn't make you anti the next person,
Mhm,
right? I can love you too, but I just want to make it very clear that I love who and what I am. I
mhm,
stand on some very broad shoulders, and there's certain obligation and responsibility that comes along with that,
yep.
right? I got to uphold what was already done. So since you brought us there, I'm going to ask you a comparable question. You told me in terms of you being who you are, but tell me this: why do you have that love for your
Mhm,
Blackness?
yeah. I think that's a good question. When you look back at, again, the lives and the work of those who have come before us,
Yeah.
at least when I look back on it, I can't help but be inspired. I think about, the enslavement period in America, and I'm just like, yo, having gone through that as an enslaved person, it is just unfathomable to me. And having gone through, Jim Crow, and having gone through just all of this stuff, the history of Black people in America, I can't help but feel grateful that they held held on, that they made it through, that they held on to God, that they held on to family, that they held on to culture. I can't help but feel grateful for that. And it's my responsibility now, as a newcomer, as a millennial, uh African American Black man, it's my responsibility to build on the foundation that our ancestors laid.
Yeah.
So that's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, my love for self, my love for my Black self, comes from my faith, right? So in the Christian faith, we are made in the image of God. So I'm not a little God, I'm not, but I'm made in the image of God. So I have to love the God in me, if you will, right?
Mhm.
And that's what I strive to do. The Christ that lives in me, Like, I love that person. I love who I've become. I love how my faith compels me and drives me. My faith drives me to have integrity. Like, when anybody else might be clocking off and might say, "Yo, I'm ready to just phone it in today," my faith says, "No, you don't get to do that because somebody else's child is on the line. Somebody else's education is on the line." I used to work at a movie theater. I used to work at the show, we call it, and I was cleaning the theaters. Every day I would just clean the theaters after. And people had some crazy stuff in there, man. Dirty diapers they done left,
Mm,
Chinese foods. Like, bro, we don't even sell Chinese food here. Why do you have this crazy stuff?
wow.
And I would go around all day for 8 hours cleaning these theaters, these dark theaters, and no one knew my whereabouts. No one knew where. So I could have slacked off and no one would have known. But in my mind, you know, I knew God calls me to be excellent at everything that I do. So man, I would clean those theaters like President Obama was going to show up the next day. I
Mm.
would clean those theaters with integrity, and that's the way I approach everything. There's that phrase that goes, "How you do anything is how you do everything," and that is compelled by my faith. So yeah, man, my love for self comes from just my responsibility to uphold and to continue on what our ancestors have done, but also just, man, I'm grateful for it. And then I just want to be a dope black dude, and
Yeah,
I strive to be that.
dope black dude. I love it. See, I think back on those years, and again, my principalship as well. I left, just for your knowledge, I left the principalship in 2011, and I've been on living out of a garment bag ever since, doing this consulting speaking work that I do. But you know, you think about the various vehicles to struggle, as far as just the struggle, the protest, the demonstration, the marches, the what have you. And in my mind, I said, okay, my struggle, because of my own gifts, my own talent, I said, my struggle is the classroom. That's my struggle. That's my rally. That's my march. That's my demonstration. That's my protest, etc. It's that classroom. And so I looked at those children to say, I have a responsibility to bring out the greatness in you, right? To help you to tap into whatever that is that's lying dormant within you. That is my role in this freedom struggle. And that's the mindset that I brought to that classroom every day. When I became a principal, I never deviated from that. It was the same exact thing. So this is my march over the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma,
Mm,
leading this school, right? This is my march through Birmingham, leading this school. And it allowed me to lead it and to teach at the highest level that I possibly could. That just mattered to me, right? So with that, you know, because we're talking about authenticity, because I was just
mm,
being my authentic me in doing it. Because
mm,
that's Baruti Kafele fed into teacher Kafele, and
mm,
Baruti Kafele fed into principal Kafele, right? So it's all rooted in who I was outside of the school door, so to speak. So that authenticity. So here you talk about this appreciating and respecting the humanity and authenticity. No, I use my wording for that, of teachers, and for you, you're talking about your colleagues, right? Respecting that, appreciating that. So I want to ask you, before we delve deeper into it, when when did this idea come up for you, about this appreciation, about this respect for the humanity and authenticity of teachers? When did this become an area of
mm,
focus, and when did it really begin to matter to you? Because see, when one goes back to that video, welcome to the fourth grade,
mm.
and you know you got that young look now. You look like a baby, right? And quite frankly, let me be quite frank with that, and then I'm gonna go
Mhm,
back to the question. I've seen your pictures all, you're all over the place. I see you,
mm,
but seeing you on this screen, you're not. I don't see welcome to the fourth grade guy, because
mhm.
you've gotten so much older. That's 8 years ago. The
Yeah.
facial hair, etc. So therefore, and the family. So therefore, I know that intellectually you have evolved and evolved and evolved, because we all have, hopefully, over a span of 8 years. So given that context now, where in that evolution did this, because this powerful stuff. I read a lot of this.
Yeah.
Where did that become an important aspect of who you are as an educator?
Yeah. So, Principal, you said your impetus, your responsibility was to bring out the potential goodness and greatness that lies dormant in, kids and teachers. And I think those things have always lied dormant in my heart and in my mind. It's just when you're faced with new opportunities and responsibilities, that's when you have the ability to let that stuff come out. So, yes, I'm not welcome to the fourth grade Dwayne Reed from back in, 2016, 2017. But now I'm no, welcome to my classroom, welcome to my school, welcome to my life, Dwayne Reed. And that has been the evolution. The evolution has gone from, hey, here's me, to how do we create we? How do I bring you into my space? Because I'm showing up, I'm in your face at 8 o'clock in the morning every day. So if I'm in your space, how do I, quote unquote, bring you into my space and create this togetherness, this connectivity? So that's what that evolution has looked like for me. I think also seeing teachers and seeing the need for teachers to feel loved, to feel human, to feel appreciated. Like I, my first year of teaching, I found out what each teacher in my school liked, like a little snack or whatever. Found out what they liked. And then I went out, first year teaching. I wasn't making no money, but I went out to little Walgreens and I bought each and every one of them one of those snacks that they had said that they had liked, just on a random Friday. And I had one of their students deliver it to them from Mr. Reed. Like, people just want to be treated like people. Like my wife, she just randomly wants a little pick me up. You want some Chipotle? I got you, girl. Say less. Like that, people just want to be treated like people. And I feel like oftentimes when we step into the classroom, or oftentimes when we step foot past the threshold of those doors in a school, it's almost as if like humanity fades away. It's almost as if it's like, no, you're just an educational serial number. You're just a plant here. You're just a body. You're just data. And it's like, that's crazy to me. Like, this somebody mama, this somebody auntie, this somebody, friend. This is somebody's someone. And my evolution began, or my transformation from welcome to the fourth grade Mr. Reed to be that teacher Mr. Reed began when I realized the person standing in front of me, no matter who it is, the person standing in front of me is somebody's everything. Somebody's everything. So how about I treat them with just a little bit of something, more than the next person might. Like, let me give them a little bit of something, because they are somebody's everything. Again, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's my approach. That's my methodology. So that's where it kind of shifted for me. Like, nah, we're going to treat people like people, because they people.
Yeah. I love that. They're somebody's everything. Like when my children, my biological children, were in school, they are my wife and their other relatives everything, right? And when we approached the school, we approached it that way without necessarily saying it that way, that they're my everything, right? And continue to be, right? Let me go in another direction with the authenticity. During my initial years as a teacher, I began to wear, like, I was a shirt and tie guy, but I began to wear a dashiki over the shirt and tie. So you would still see the tie and the white collar, but you would see this African attire. This was in New York City. It was in Brooklyn. That's where I started. I'm from Jersey, but I started teaching in New York. And the teachers, my colleagues, had an issue with it. So they went to the principal and requested that she come to me and ask me to stop wearing the dashikis, coupled with the posters I had in the room of your Martins, your Malcolms, your Garveys, etc. Asked me to take them down. And so there was this fine line, I believe, between authenticity and the perception of lack of professionalism. So in
Mm,
their mind, I'm not being a professional teacher because of my attire. Now, again, I'm the only black man in that school as well. That was a different school I talked about before. And then I've got these posters of people that I knew that staff would be threatened by. But these folks were not in my room for the staff. They should not be in my room either. They were there for the children who reported to my room every day. So with that, I want you to talk to us about, from your vantage point, this fine line between bringing one's authenticity versus being perceived as unprofessional, not just the attire, but just in who one may be. Talk to us
yeah,
about.
yeah, for sure. So sorry that happened. I feel like that happens, unfortunately, so often,
Yeah.
to us. And man, I laugh in the face of people feeling threatened by me. Like it literally makes me laugh. I'm like, what you want me to do about it? I'm me. I'm happy. I'm me. I'm happy. I'm black. I want to wear this because I want to wear this. Maybe something like I don't dress like a teacher. This is literally what I wore last week. Just do it Nike shirt,
Yeah.
black jeans, and my Nike shoes. Dagner was gonna wear my hat, but I said, you know what, But I literally laugh in the face of these norms and policies that have been established because you got to look back and see who established these policies, who gets to decide what professional looks like. And it just makes me laugh because I'm not going to be bound by that. At the same time, so I'm not just some radical person that's like, man, burn everything down. Like, I don't care what professional looks like. That's not me. But I am a rebel. I will push up against stuff. I will buck up against something. It's like, oh, I'm wearing jeans every day. I'm wearing blue jeans today. I'm wearing black jeans tomorrow. I'm wearing jeans every day because we as humans have the right to do that. We've got such this mentality of do exactly what the boss says. We've got such this mentality of I have to fall in line. And oftentimes teachers oftentimes can be given into people pleasing. And it's like, there's nothing about me that's people pleasing whatsoever. Just at all. I'm unapologetically going to do what I feel is right for me to do. Now, again, my principal comes up to me, right? Principal Kafele comes up to me and is like, hey, Mr. Reed, I need you to stop wearing your dashiki over. I'm gonna have a conversation with my principal and say, nah, I'm not. I'm not, because this is who I am. You didn't go up to such and such up the street and tell her she can't wear her hair in a ponytail. Then don't come to me and tell me I can't wear my hair in locks. Like we that's a conversation that we're gonna have to have. And now my principal is going to have to be, approached with the situation where it's like, do I fire this man or do I come along and compromise and say, you know what? How is he performing in the classroom? Are there any other issues whatsoever? No, I'm gonna let it be. So, man, that's how I approach just this idea of what it means to be professional. I get to determine what it means to be professional because I'm the professional.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me anticipate what some leader this on the other side. Matter of fact, let me say to the folks on the on the call real quick before I go here. Folks, the folks that didn't tune in early on, StreamYard, that's the streaming platform that I use as well as thousands of other people. They're having an issue with Facebook right now. I don't mean they're in some kind of conflict. There's a problem. So therefore, on your Facebook feed, you're seeing your picture, your name, all that kind of thing. You see that on if you're watching on Facebook. But I'm not watching through Facebook. I'm watching through StreamYard. So because I'm watching through StreamYard, I don't see your name. I don't see your picture. Some of you are saying you want to rap with me off mic and all that kind of thing. I don't know who you are, right? So here's what you got to do. One or two things. You can go if you're on YouTube, go to YouTube and watch if you have an account with your name, so that way I'll know who you are. Or if you just want your name to be seen, right, then watch us on YouTube instead at AP and New Principles Academy. Or go to LinkedIn and watch us there, because I'll see those as well, or go to Twitter and watch us there, and comment on the live feed on Twitter, not on the regular when you tweet, X, I should say. Go to the live feed, and then that way I'll see your picture, I'll see your name, and I'll know who it's coming from. Now, if you got some little weird name and it's, you know, some kind of code name, then I'm still not gonna know who you are. But right now, so with Facebook, all I'm seeing is Facebook user, Facebook user, Facebook users. There's a zillion of them on here right now. I don't see your picture, I don't see your name. So I do see your comment, but it looks like this, right? That's the way it looks. So I don't know who that is. So if you're trying to get my attention in terms of a comment, then go to one of those other platforms, and then I'll know who you are, and we'll go from there, right? But don't tune out, because the conversation is stimulating for the work that we do, right? Good stuff. Like this person here is on X, right? So now I can see Derek L. Crowder, and I see his comment, I see his picture, because he's watching from X. But again, I got to educate y'all. You can't just go to where you tweet. That's not what this is. You got to go to the live feed on X and tweet there, right? Put your message there, and then that way I'll see it, and then I can post it, right? And then Create and Educate, they had the same thing going. Everybody, if you're using Facebook and StreamYard, this is our reality until they fix it. All right, enough said. Tell you what, let me just go here. No, I said I wanted to talk about pushback from principal. So there's a principal watching right now. I just have to imagine, Mr. Reed, I got to imagine there's a principal that's saying, but I want, this might be an old school principal, but I want my men to be in slacks and a quote unquote professional attire, because I'm trying to model something through you for our boys, right? What would you say to that person? Matter of fact, and I hate to do this, Dwayne, I'm gonna interrupt you. I hate to do this, but forgive me. I'm old school. I'm of a different generation than you, right? I have said to principals all over this country that there's a new generation here now. If you're in my age bracket or slightly below, there's a learning curve. You can't. So people say, Principal Kafele, would you ever go back into the principalship? And I say, I don't think I will, but if I did, I can't go back as 2011 Principal Kafele, because he won't be successful. Because the youngsters that I left in 2011 are not the youngsters in 2024. This is a different youngster. But on the other hand, the new teacher of 2024 is not the veteran that I left in 2011. That is a very different teacher. No teacher ever came to my office for an interview with tattoos. I've never seen that in my life. But if I was a principal now, I may not only see tattoos on the forearms, but I might see them on the neck. And I can't use that as a reason to not hire that teacher. Whereas in 2011, I may have. And before I became a principal in 1998. So in those years, I may have, but in 2024, I can't look at no tattoo and say you're not of value to my school. You might be the state teacher of the year. But if I get lost or caught up into the external, then I'm missing the quality of that teacher, right? So I'm saying I'm kind of all over the place, because I'm excited about having this young brother on here, because a lot of my guests are a lot older than you, even though I don't know your age, but you got that young look about you, right? So talk to me now. Don't talk to me. Talk to that veteran out there who heard what you said about the genes, but doesn't want the genes.
Yeah, so that's a good question. You said, why would I be focused on the externals if that teacher that I potentially could hire would go on to win state teacher of the year? Like, it all comes down to like perspective, comes down to importance, it comes down to value. Come into my classroom and see them kids rocking with me, and then tell me that my genes are messing things up. Come into my classroom and see, my scores with my students. Come into my classroom and see the relationship that I have with the high flyers and every other class. Come into and now talk to me about my genes. Now say, I mean, it's literally, the proof is in the pudding. It's right there. So that's the first thing I say. As well to the, the old school, the OG, veteran, principal or administrators. Like, man, I want my black men or my men wearing slacks or what have you. Two things have to happen. Number one, you have to make that clear from jump. Hey, Mr. Reed, this is what I want at this school. If you can't agree with it, I won't be able to hire you. And I have to decide, hey, is this something that I'm going to be willing to accept? That's literally the two things that has to happen. Because if you're telling me from jump, hey, you have to wear slacks, I'm gonna tell you, like, well, this ain't the place for me. I wanted a job at a Family Video, which is a video store, like kind of like Blockbuster. And it was like the only job in town that I could get when I was in college. And they said, hey, you're great, you're amazing, you've got the job. We just have a policy where you have to shave all your facial hair. And I didn't have a beard or nothing there, but I had some little goatee. And I was like, man, I'm not shaving off my facial hair. They got me messed up. I'm not gonna look like that, man. It's not gonna be me. So I didn't take the job. And that's the choice that I had, but that's the choice that I have to make. So I'd say to any educator coming up against, a principal who's like, yeah, nah, this is not what's gonna happen. You have to make that decision to say, is this hill worth dying over? And I think administrators have to say that as well. Like, man, I see the results. I see the relationships that he's building with his students. I see that there's no issues. I never have any of his kids come down to my office. Is this a hill I'm worth dying on? Because Mr. Reed wanted to wear a hat one day in his class because he wears jeans every single day. And those are the real life human questions that we have to deal with and we have to ask ourselves and answer.
Love it. Love it. We go to your book here. Hey, folks. Mr. Reed has written a few books. This is the newest one, Be That Teacher, subtitled Rehumanizing Education with Unapologetic Authenticity. You can go to Amazon right now, copy a copy, or you can go to Amazon, because I don't know all them sites, but just go to Amazon and get your copy. And if you got Prime, you'll have it by probably Monday, right? So Be That Teacher. But Mr. Reed, when I was going through the table of contents initially, there was this one chapter called Rebel Against the Norm, right? And I started playing with the word rebel. And I said it could be rebel against the norm as well. So I started just playing with it in my mind the both ways and certainly seeing myself in either way, right? So rebel against the norm, I think is your intent based on me reading the chapter. But I want to share with the fam out here before we jump into it. Folks, listen to these titles. Chapter 1, Do You, Fam? Rebel Against the Norm. Relationships Matter. Gather the Real Data. How Do You See Me? Let Kids Be Kids. The Teacher as the Lead Learner. It takes a team to teach. Everyone deserves your excellence. And finally, Teaching Beyond the Classroom. I got to tell you, and not because you're my guest today, but I got to tell you because I'm keeping it real. Every one of those chapter titles, they resonated with me in a big way because those are me. That is clearly who I am as an educator. But that rebel against the norm, that's the one. That's the one that I created enemies by. And a lot of folks that watch, they know my story, so I'm not going to go into that. I want to keep it on you. But when you say rebel against the norm, what are you telling us?
I'm saying the quiet part out loud. I'm speaking out for those teachers and educators who feel stifled or feel silenced. I'm saying the stuff that people want to say, but they don't say. And I'm saying you don't have to be enslaved to your administrators. You can lovingly, patiently, compassionately, sometimes, but sometimes not, buck against policies and procedures and programs that aren't befitting for you, your staff, and your kids. No one will ever make me understand how middle schoolers, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders can't go outside for 10, 15, 20 minutes a day during recess. No one will ever make me understand how kids have to be silent during lunch. No one will ever make me understand why, first off, kids have demerits, but second off, how someone's getting a demerit because they forgot a pencil or they didn't do their reading log. Like, none of this makes sense. So I'm saying teachers, educators, parents, what have you, need to rebel against policies and policymakers that suck. Just period. Full out. What they say, full stop. Like, that is what has to happen, because what's going to continue to happen if we don't rebel, if we don't speak up, if we don't speak out, what's going to continue to happen is status quo, the norm as usual. But what we got to recognize, especially black and brown people, is the norm has never benefited us. So why are we going to continue to align ourselves with and be quiet about a norm, regular, same old, that has only hurt us? Like, nah, I'm against that. No, I'm against that. I worked at a school, and this is when I was an administrator. I was a dean of students, and I was on the administrative side of things. And at the school, they weren't offering to cover my wife and my child at the time medically. It was a private school. They weren't offering. They said, well, we don't typically have that. Typically, we have women who work here, and the women are, covered medically by their husband's insurance. And I said, well, we got to change that. Like, we got to switch it up, because I want to work here and y'all want me, but I need my baby to be covered. What's up? So they made a change in the system. And now, even though I've left that school on good terms, everybody that comes is able to medically insure not only themselves, but their household. Like, you have to buck against a system that don't work for you. And a lot of things in our educational system don't work for me. So we're going to rebel against that norm.
Yeah. So, and again, the folks, the fam on this call, y'all know I want to jump into my story or stories, but I'm gonna keep the focus on Mr. Reed. But y'all know I was in there bucking systems and getting suspended as a principal, and my termination hearing and the headline story on the news and the newspapers and all that stuff. Because I just can't be one to be in there and perpetuate status quos that are detrimental to young people. But going back, everything you said now, and me knowing who the bulk of the audience is on this call, I want you to take that now, as we did before. There are leaders watching, and they've got the mirror to themselves, figuratively speaking. They're saying, but what he's talking about, that's what I do. Right, from time to time, I have to enforce these policies that I may not even agree with, but I'm the administrator, so I've got to go along to get along, so to speak. I've got to uphold whatever these things are that my teachers are not in agreement with. I have an administrative answer to that, but I want to hold off on that, and I want to ask from a teacher vantage point, even though you've been quasi-administration. What do you say to that leader that's watching right now?
Yeah. Again, this is where the loving part comes in. This is where I'm not just a radical, let's burn it all down. I'm fired up as a rebel. And I say, hey, in love, Principal Kafele, we got to think bigger picture. We got to think long term. What it boils down to is, you like me being at this school, right, sir? Great. I love being here. I love it. I love the kids. Here are the things that are going to keep me here. You got to bend and compromise on some of those things that are going to keep me here. If me being able to wear a hat in my classroom while I teach makes me feel comfortable coming to school every day, 8 to 3, Monday through Friday, you have to, in your mind, say, you know what? That is not going to make or break this school. But if I don't feel comfortable and I leave, that's going to make or break a school when you're missing a fifth grade teacher for the whole year. So you have to think big picture, sir, you know, with all due respect. And I think that's the generational, you know, change that you brought up, and the generational challenge. We've been, but the younger generation, people of color, what have you, any minority population, we've been budging nonstop for all of life. And not even budging, we've been sat down and you staunch here, follow the rules. But now in this generation, it's like, nah, the old, you know, we say with all respect, the old heads gotta budge a little bit. Y'all gotta
Yeah,
compromise. Y'all
yeah,
gotta say, you know what? Is this worth, you know, is this hill worth dying on? And that's what I say to shoot. That's what I say to my administrators. I literally have this conversation like, hey, I'm not going to put my objective on the board every single day. Sometimes I might get to it, sometimes I might not. But I'm gonna explicitly state that objective. It's gonna be explicitly stated in my children's paperwork. It's gonna be explicitly stated in the email that I send to them. And my administrator, well, you know, this is just the way that we have to do things, and within this framework, and yada yada yada. I'm like, you're gonna have to make the choice. Do you want me to come in here and be a paper pusher? Or do you want me to come in here and be a change maker, a change agent? Because that's what you're getting. Miss me with that. Just miss me with that.
yeah, yeah. You know, as you speak, I'm thinking about just the number of times that I had to fight for my teachers behind the scenes, and they never knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I didn't have a need to tell them that I was in the superintendent's office fighting on your behalf. I just want to make sure that I do engage in the fight and that they benefit. But I want to give you this example that I did tell them. Superintendent came in new, and you know, we did lesson plans prior to him every week. So they would be submitted. I'm one who reads lesson plan because I read what you wrote in the book, right? So Monday night, I'm at the school very late, and I'm literally reading every plan, making comments where I need to for every teacher that I evaluate, right? They're not going to submit plans that are unread, right? I'm going to read them, and I'm going to provide feedback where necessary. So that was every week that I got them Monday morning, Sunday or Monday. If they wanted to submit them on Sunday, they could email them to me. So anyway, superintendent wanted the plans to be written for 2.5 weeks instead of for a week. And you know, and they weren't unit plans. They were just 2.5 weeks. And I said to myself, why would I want a teacher, especially since we're trying to get to a certain plateau? Why would I want a teacher projecting into a third week when I really want teacher focused on the next day, right? Up to the end of the week. So the teachers were all upset about it throughout the district. And my colleagues didn't say anything. I said to myself, I have to have a conversation with the superintendent. So instead of grandstanding, and hear me out there, fam, I never grandstanded at an administrators meeting. If I had something to say, my colleagues are not going to hear that live. I'm going to have a one-on-one after the meeting, and there's no audience in the room. So we had the one-on-one. I explained my case, why this is not helpful for my school, for my teachers, for my children. And now there's no audience. So now he said, wow, Kafele, that makes sense. I'll let you go back. He said, well, what about your colleagues? How do they feel? I said, I haven't had a conversation with them. See, I ain't in here advocating for another school. I'm fighting for my school. I had a conversation with them, but I'm not here for that. So we went back. Then I went to my staff and told them, I said, I had a meeting with the superintendent, and this is why. Because I needed them to know Kafele got us. He got our back. I needed them to know that I'm putting my neck out on the line. So I think I'm more so talking to the fam than I am Mr. Reed to say, folks, sometimes your battle is not at the administrators meeting where you got that audience in there, because that superintendent, that assistant superintendent, they got to save face. right? But see, when it's you, just the two of you in the room, ain't no face to be saved. It's a conversation, right? And if you state your case intelligently, they may hear you, they may not. Then you got to look at plan B. But the administrators meeting is not the place to try to convince somebody to move differently when you got all your colleagues sitting in the room, right? That's just not the place where it's going to get done. That's just you know, you got to be strategic with it. So let me come back to you now, Mr. Reed. On some of y'all were asking me to repeat the name of the book, and some of you went on and wrote it. Be That Teacher, Dwayne Reed. Be That Teacher. Rehumanizing education with unapologetic authenticity. I want to read something from that, and I'm known to do that, Dwayne. So bear with me for a second. I want to read a paragraph, and then I want to ask you something about it. As a classroom teacher, I rebel against many rules and policies that I don't believe serve my scholars or myself. Here are some examples, and you actually alluded to them. I never take recess away from a kid. How dare I strip away a crucial aspect of their humanity just because I might have felt disrespected by them or because they didn't get work done? I never give zeros on anything. Why would I want my students to fail? I never stick to the pacing guide. How can people who have never seen or taught my kids tell me where we should be in our learning? I never take work home. It's going to be there tomorrow. So that's when I'll get to it. I refuse to practice punitive disciplinary measures with my kids. Sure, give logical consequences that hold them accountable, but why not show them grace and have restorative conversations instead of teaching them a lesson? These are just a few ways in which I rebel daily in school, and I hope educators reading this book will feel empowered to follow suit. Powerful paragraph. There's a leader out there who may hear this and say, "Oh no, I don't agree with this thinking." Right. And that's why I wanted to put the emphasis on the leader for our conversation, because I know that leaders are watching. That leader that may say, oh no, everything you just said, I need that. How would you respond to that leader, Mr. Reed?
Yeah, so I'm having that face-to-face conversation, that one-on-one conversation, and I'm saying we have to think big picture. You have to understand that if a teacher is taking away recess with a kid, that's doing nothing but making that kid furious. And now he's going to be bitter. And now he's going to come to your class and really turn up because you took away the only thing he was looking forward to today. Like, you have to understand the humanity aspect of it. Or if I am talking to, someone and they're like, oh, well, you have to stick to the pacing guide. I'm like, do you not understand that I got 34 students in here? And do you not understand that there are, varying levels of understanding of this right now? And do you not understand? So what do you mean stick to the pacing guide? Why am I sticking to the pacing guide? Come in my classroom and watch us teach. Come in my classroom and watch us learn. Come in my classroom and experience for yourself. But don't say, hey, here's this district mandated pace that you're supposed to be on. Nobody in life works that way. So why are we trying to put that in school? Nobody is on this line that they have to stay on. Everybody knows that life goes up, down, back, and around 17 times. That's the same in a classroom. Again, I feel like when we step into a school, people lose this idea that there are humans here. And it's just no, they're workers. So what I say to it, it's like, no. I need my teachers to be this, that, and the third. The question I would have with them is like, oh, so you need your teachers to just be followers. You need your teachers to just sit down and shut up. You need your teachers to just do as you say. And that's not this generation, man. We're not coming like that. Like, we're going to be excellent. We're going to do the work. We're going to put our heads down and get to work. But we also going to do things that serve ourselves and serve our students. I'm not taking away recess. I'm just not. I'll figure out another way. And the last thing I will say is the results speak for themselves. Look at my scores. Look at the relationships that I have. Look at when I was a dean of students on the administrative side of things, the entire year, we only suspended 2 students. We suspended 2 students, and we only suspended those students because of one fight that they had. So the 1 year that I was in this school as an administrator, we suspended 2 kids. What I want to say to people is look at the results. You have happier, healthier classrooms. You have students that want to come to school. You have students who are reading at X whatever level, now reading at X whatever level after a year of being in my classroom. It's like, are these not the results you want?
Yeah.
Because if these ain't the results you want, I gotta go. You're gonna have to let me go.
The results speak for themselves. The data speaks for itself. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let me before we get to them talking points, I was on your Facebook page just exploring, right? That's what I do to prepare. And I'm not going to read this to you, but I want to show you on the camera. Where we at? Here we go. This was no, it's more than that. Well, this was a post you wrote, and it's long. It's long, right? I'm gonna tell you what it was. I had to kind of like, okay, how you gonna go with this, Cafe? Like, I was gonna take your post and make that the session because it was that strong. I wrote on here in my notes. I said you wrote a masterpiece post. I'm gonna read the first part and then you'll know the post. The first part of this lengthy post said, "I am an exceptional teacher. I know it because of the relationships I build with students, my classroom management, the learning that takes place, and the joy I personally experience in the classroom." And then you said, "But I also recognize how I fail miserably at being a good teacher on paper." That resonated with me, and once I read that line, I said, "Man, I should just do the whole session on this post because there's enough content there to take us a very, for a whole conversation." But I said, "No, I'll just go to this one." So my question to you, and I guess it's comparable to a lot of what we said, but when you say I fail miserably at being a good teacher, quote unquote, on paper, what does that mean? And what might the implications be for leaders who are listening?
Yeah, it's gonna be, lather, rinse, repeat of what I said before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look good on paper. You come in and you're grading me on some framework, I'm not gonna pass it. Not because I can't, but because that is not how I do teaching. That is not how I get the results. I don't get the great results that I get. I don't build the relationships with the highest flying kids in the school. That doesn't happen through a framework or a methodology that somebody wrote 100 years ago or somebody wrote 10 years ago. So that doesn't work. You're not going to get that from me. And when you're grading me, when I'm being assessed on, I taught when I was in school, in college, I taught a lesson for my professor in my school I was placed at. And the professor was like, "Dwayne, that was amazing, great. The kids were like feeling it. I saw learning happening. I read their exit tickets, all the things." And then she comes to me and she says, "Where's your lesson plan?" And I say to her, my professor, I'm like, "It's all up here, baby. It's all up here." And she's like, "Dwayne, that's not going to work. That's not going to work when you're out there in the real world and you're teaching." And I've always questioned why. Why is that not going to work? Why, if you literally see learning happening, why is it not going to work? Why, if you literally see no behaviors taking place, why is it not going to work? Why, if I'm not doing this on the Danielson framework, or I'm not doing that, or I'm not exceptional, but you literally see lives being transformed right in front of you, why is that not going to work? Because you say, again, it comes down to, I have human questions for humans. And it comes down to, it's like, oh, you want to be in your office and you want to make your good little money and you want to, listen to and play the game. I'm not here to play the game. I'm here to change lives. So again, with all due respect, I'm gonna be like, kind of bump what you saying. I'm not gonna say it to you, but like bump what you saying. I'm gonna do this because this literally gets the results that you're saying on paper that you want. So yeah, man, I get fired up about it because I'm literally going through it right now. It's like, bro, let me just do me. Do you not see it? Do you not see it succeeding? Let me just do me. I, I don't look good on paper. I know I don't. I don't follow the rules. I don't, but I get the results, the same results that leaders want. You gotta pick and choose what you want. Do you want a rule follower, or do you want somebody that might bend something here, remove something there, and it's gonna get the job done? What do you want?
Let me I told you off camera I was going I may find an opening to challenge you, so I just found it. Let's have this conversation right quick.
Yeah.
I've only led low performing schools in terms of when I walked in. I didn't leave them low performing, but I entered there low performing. I am an instructional leader in the truest sense of the term. You know, you heard me in the monologue talk about the coaching and so forth. So as leader, let me take you back. When I was doing my internship to become an administrator, we had to go visit a high school. They determined the school, and we all, my classmates, we went to this school. And the principal took us into a classroom. But before we walked in, the principal explained to us what we were going to see instructionally. And I found that quite amazing that he had that in-depth knowledge before we walked in. But then I said, well, maybe he just overly prepared for us. So we go into the classroom, and everything he said in that hallway was what was happening in that classroom. So then we come out and we debrief. Then we go to another room, and it's in that same period. So the lesson had already started, but he told us what we were going to see. Then we go in instructionally. Then we go in and we see it manifest. Then, and so this is the pattern for about 10 classrooms. So immediately after those 10, in my mind, I concluded, as this aspiring school leader, I want to be that guy. That was my conclusion leaving there. I was so impressed. That was 1996. And to this day, I continue to be impressed. So I work toward becoming that guy, as I said, meaning that there cannot be classrooms in this school and I don't know them. I want to know these classrooms as if they were my classrooms. You know, it's like what we were saying in earlier on, knowing the children, loving the children as if they were our own.
Mhm.
Well, I wanted to know those classrooms, but I also, but simultaneously, and I hope I'm making this make sense, as that coach, I can't coach you up if I don't know your planning process, right? That was so critical, because now I'm in better position to say, okay, here's what because it's never what I can do to make you better. It's what we can do
Mhm.
to develop your skill set in that area. So it's not the policy thing for me with what you alluded to in terms of just compliance. It's not that at
Mhm.
all. It's that I know that we will be better, and we're only talking about the teachers that I evaluate.
Yeah.
My APs, that's same conversation, but with those teachers. So my cluster of teachers I evaluate, I need to know your classrooms in depth so that I'm in better position to work with you collaboratively to make it better. Now, I'm gonna say this one more thing. When I have a Mr. Reed, because see, you know how we use equity. Well,
Mhm.
equity applies to the teacher as well, not just the children in the school. So if I got a Mr. Reed in there and I know you taking care of business, I ain't messing with you.
Mhm.
I'm not, right? We have a different kind of relationship,
Mhm.
right? But I can't not hold you accountable. But I'm not gonna mess with you where now you looking in the one ads for another job when I know
Yeah.
I got, I got the potential of Caleb Williams in the class, because I'm only saying because Chicago, right? We expect him to be great at some point,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I don't want to put you in a position where I don't want to work here, man. This dude micromanaging me, right? So I understand the equity in me backing off. but I still might say, but give me something so
But
that I can see the planning. Go ahead.
everybody, there's not one student that comes to my class that has the exact same story as the next student.
Right.
So everybody gets, you know, an IEP from me, if you will. Everybody gets an individualized approach to how I educate with them.
Mm.
And it's the same thing in my mind as it's the same thing and applies to teachers the same exact way. So yes, principal, you know I'm rocking and rolling in my classroom.
Yeah.
So I guess there's this, well, I have to keep my teachers accountable. And it's like, according to whom? Who says? Like, why is that fair? Why is that equitable? No. If you got Michael Jordan on the team, you need to get Michael Jordan the ball. Really saying I'm Michael Jordan. But if you have somebody
I
that's
ain't mad at that kind of confidence, though.
no, I mean, hey, listen, if you got somebody that's balling out, you just got to get them the ball. Well, I need to get some other players involved and I need to just make sure that things are equitable and hold everybody accountable. It's like, so you don't want to win. And that leads to that second point that you just brought up. Like, why I am not going to limit one child because 24 others are at a certain level. Like, no, I'm going to put that child in the best possible position to continue to thrive and continue to be excellent. Because I want them and all of my other ones, but I want them, especially, they're showing signs of, oh, you rocking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, but I have to hold them accountable to the same. Why? And then that second part that you brought up, as far as the planning, the wanting to see the planning and see how you can help. What I say all the time, I've literally said this: come to my classroom, just literally watch it. So you want something on paper, and it's like, do you not, as lovingly as I can say, like, do you not recognize that some people's brains don't work that way? My brain doesn't work when I'm sitting in a planning period and I'm like, all right, I'm twiddling my thumbs because my brain don't work that way. My brain works, man, I go home and, oh, shoot, we gonna do this. And boom, I'm on YouTube. And boom, I'm getting resources. And boom, I type it in my phone. And then boom, that's it. We finna rock and roll. My brain don't work in that little cluster meeting that you gave us an hour to work on our, like,
neither does mine.
no, it's like we have to treat people according to what they're giving us. And as a leader, I mean, think of it as a parent. Like, you don't get to change your kids. You have to adapt and you have to adopt new mindsets with what your kids bring to you. And sometimes it be some craziness.
Yeah.
That's the same thing that teacher leaders need to do and school leaders need to do. You have to change your mindset when you come against something that's a little different, something that's a little unorthodox.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry they don't fit into the, as you mentioned earlier, I need my classroom to look like this and planned it. You're going to have some outliers. You're going to have some differences. And are you going to keep them and learn how to change yourself to help them thrive? Or are you going to get rid of them? And that's just the choice, the human choice that you got to make.
I love it. A fam out there, you recall I said earlier that if some, people ask me would I ever go back, and I said the teacher, that's a different teacher. The students, that's a different student. Now I wanted, I said he had this masterpiece post. You go to Mr. Reed on Facebook and just scroll about maybe 5 posts in, you'll see it, because I didn't write the date down. But I want to share this one item that he has in that post. He says, my lessons are on my phone or on sticky notes I keep in my pocket or on my computer. That works for me, not submitting them into some file that honestly might not ever get checked. Like I hope this person, if this person is watching, I know that I don't mean any disrespect, right? If this person is watching, I was given a talk this week. I'm not going to tell y'all where, because I don't want to put this person on the spot that was in charge. I was given a talk this week, and before I came up, the person in charge said, everybody put your laptops away and your phones and just listen. So then I went up to the person and I whispered to the person. I said, but they may be taking notes on their laptop, or they may be taking notes on their phone. I know that sometimes people may drift off and do whatever on their phone, but this is a generation that uses the phone to take notes. I learned from the younger generation to take notes with my phone, because that's something I would never do. Now I will do it exclusively, right? So I called myself reminding the person, but the teachers, I want them to retain this information, and they may want to jot down some of what I say beyond the PowerPoint, right? So sometimes we got to keep that in mind. So I say that in the context of my lessons are on my phone, right? Or on the sticky notes, etc. Right? It's a different time, y'all, and technology is used differently, right? So just keep that in mind. We almost at the end. I was going to call you Doc, but I know that's right. But let me just put these talking points up here. You said in the first one, you gave me 5. You posed it as a question, and we've been into this. Why is authenticity so important in education? Was there anything that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I feel like so often teachers, principals, whomever, they feel fearful to be themselves. And I just want to, again, I'm not the one empowering people, but if my words help unlock or break you out of the bondage of, well, I can't be me, I hope that that's what takes place. Authenticity is so important because everyone respects authenticity. Everyone respects when you are truly who you're supposed to be. I can't go, and be like, being yourself is the best way to be, because not only do people respect that authenticity, but you leave with joy because you weren't being anybody else. You're like, I was myself, and they got what they got. So yeah, that's why it's important in education.
Love it. Let's go to this second one. Everything good about life comes through humanity, not policy. How does this apply to education? And I know anything additional.
Yeah, man. I love the conversation that you kind of brought up, like from the perspective of the
You muted yourself.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you good.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's because in my mind, I'm so ready to just like, no, this don't work. This don't work for my kids. No, this don't work. I'm so ready to buck against that. But at the same time, I've gained more of a respect and a patience for the leader who has to be on the other side of, the educational rebel. So, I have that in mind, and, I try to do what I can, but it's gotta be some budging on both sides. I recognize that. So yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Let me go to that third one. What exactly does it mean to be that teacher, and how can others do it? So let me put the book up since you used that word. Be That Teacher, authored by Dwayne Reed. Again, rehumanizing education with unapologetic authenticity. You can go to Amazon and order your copy now.
Thank you. To be that teacher, I'm gonna literally go down the table of contents. Like you got to do you, fam. Be you. Be your unique self. Bring that to the classroom. You got to rebel against the norm. You got policies and programs that suck and are, hurting and harming your students or yourselves. You got to push up against them. You got to remember relationships matter. Like there can be no learning. There can be no true learning without first building a bond, without first building that connection. You got to gather the real data. I'm not talking numbers. I'm talking information, relational data about your students, about your staff. And once you gather that, use that to fuel the relationship you have with them. You got to recognize, how do you see your students? I've got newcomer students. I've got students from Venezuela. I've got students so all this talk about, all of these people coming in, how do you view them? I've got a student from Venezuela, just came up a month ago, speaks 0 English. I had him for a couple of weeks. I came back from my paternity leave. That student is walking up to me, hola, senor, hugging me. We don't even speak the same language. And he loves me. He embraced me. You have to build relationships with your kids. Again, let kids be like, how do you see them? Let kids be kids. Like, that's what it means to be that teacher, to recognize that the impact that you have in the classroom is going to go far past the classroom. So what are you intentionally doing to make that impact come true?
Love it, love it, love it. I'm gonna go on to number 4. For those who say that building relationships with students is an empty platitude that administrators give their teachers, what's your response? And you worded it that way, so let you answer your own question.
Yeah, I so often see that teachers a lot of times be like, "Oh, the principal said build relationships, build relationships, build relationships," and they're making it seem oftentimes as if it's like, "Well, they're just throwing these words to me, but they're not really doing anything." I really want to get on your level and say, "Nah, building relationships really it don't solve everything, but it solves a lot of things." And if you take the time, that's the thing too. If you take the time to do it effectively, which I talk about in my book, I literally write down and like put out here's exactly how you build these kind of relationships with your students. I done taught in the hood, I done taught in rural America, I done taught in the suburbs, like I done taught everywhere. So I've taught every kind of kid, if you will. It's effective. All you have to do is be a human being, and then you'll build those relationships with the younger human beings in your classroom. So that's my response, man. Like build relationships. It's the thing, man. It's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it is. And sometimes it does sound like empty platitude or cliche, but at the end of the day, it matters. It matters. Good stuff. Let me go to this last one. Um, what makes your book Be That Teacher special, noteworthy, or valuable to every everyday teacher, administrator, and why should anyone want to purchase it? Let's put it back up
Great
here.
question. I'm so glad you asked. Yeah, man. if 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 you want joy, like I have joy being in the classroom. I don't leave feeling like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing in the world. Like if you want joy, you should purchase Be That Teacher. If you want positive relationships with your students and their caregivers, by the way, you should purchase Be That Teacher. It's noteworthy because, like I said before, I say the stuff that people be thinking, but they don't really want to say because they're gonna get in trouble. Like, I'll admit, I've been fired before. I've been fired from my position. Actually happened last year. I got fired because I took my students outside when the policy says we're not supposed to take our middle schoolers outside. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. So my principal, 5 days before my eighth graders graduated, fired me on the
Mm,
spot.
mm,
And I got to be willing to eat that. I got to be willing to take that because of the person that I am, because of the principles that I hold. And I talk about those principles in that book, Be That Teacher. So that's what makes it noteworthy. I'm not somebody that just talks a good talk. I'm somebody that literally goes through the fire when you got to back up, what you believe in. And that's why I think people should purchase this book, Be That Teacher.
I gotta ask you because I think I'm speaking for everybody on here. I knew that happened, but I didn't know the reason, and I didn't know the time of year that it happened. So here's my question: um, what kind of student support, parental support, perhaps community support, and colleague support did you have when that happened, if any?
I kept it under wraps because, and this is funny. I mean, not funny, but I was ashamed because when I got fired, I felt like, even though I didn't feel like I did anything wrong, I felt like, wait, I'm not good enough somehow. Because if I was good enough, I would have been kept. So I felt ashamed. My colleagues, I mean, it was such an abrupt thing because it was literally, so they supported me. They loved on me as best they could, kind of thing. Um, I got barred from the school, which is crazy. I got barred from the school. So they came and delivered my stuff to me, which I appreciated. Parent support, man, those parents were messaging me like, oh no, Mr. Reed, we finna turn up for you. You the best thing to ever happen to my baby. How they do this? So they was, just in voice, they was definitely, rooting for me. But man, it was hard. It was hard. I just ruptured my Achilles a couple weeks before that. My wife was pregnant. So, we're thinking about medical insurance and all that, just completely lost. It was a really, 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 really hard time in life. My mother was dealing with some health battles, and it just was that was just like the breaking point. And would I go back and take my students outside again, my 8th graders who are about to graduate? 100 times out of 100 times I would, because I believe what I believe, right? You know, Dr. King is walking across that bridge because he believes what he believes.
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm X is going to this event and speaking because he believes what he believes.
Yeah.
I'm taking my kids outside and I'm breaking certain rules in the educational space because I believe what I believe. And I wouldn't be me if I didn't act on my beliefs. So that was kind of man, that's kind of the story of that.
Yeah, that's that authenticity. And this the fam out here, the regulars, they know that your story is my story. I was barred from not only the school but the entire district till my hearing. And after that hearing, and it was attended by it was hundreds of people that came out, if not thousands. It was that just because of the media exposure, all the 6 o'clock news, 10 o'clock news, that type of thing, headlines in the newspaper, all that. And so my staff came and wore black. They sat in the front. My students were out there chanting. We were on the 3rd floor. They were chanting so loud that we couldn't hear the proceedings of the hearing.
Wow.
Because they were that loud in support of me. And the board voted unanimously at the end of the hearing, 7-0, that I had done absolutely nothing wrong. I stood up to my boss because I felt that some of his policies were detrimental to my students. So I stood up to him one-on-one, and as opposed to grandstanding, and it got me suspended and ultimately a termination hearing. But as I said, I spoke kind of at length about it a few weeks ago because it was the 20th anniversary. And I'll just say it here for your benefit. I'll agree with you, as a matter of fact, that 20 years later, and I look in that mirror and I have zero regrets about the way I conducted myself during that time. You know, I'm older now, I'm 20 years older, but I still have no regrets about the way I conducted myself at that time, because I don't feel I did anything wrong. I was that word authenticity is one of my words as well. And there's another A word, this one of my words, and that's advocate. I was advocating for my students. I was fighting for my students. And in fighting for my students, I took a hit. You know, my name was smeared all over the media. But 5 years later, I left that school the end of that year, because that was the beginning of the year. It was in September. But when I left and I went somewhere where I was recruited in Newark, and 5 years later, I'm surprised with the Milken Award. And I don't know if you know the Milken Award, but that's that surprise assembly. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know what it is. You can't apply for it. And here's this big event in my gym, and I'm getting this check for $25,000. So I sat there and just, I said, wow, look at God. I stood my ground 5 years earlier, and here I am. My kids are giving me a standing ovation, and I put my head down. This is from that day, and I just put my head in my hands. I teared up, and I said, "Thank you, God." Right? I said, God said, we got to put you through a few things because we getting ready to put you on a bigger platform, but let's first see what you made out of. Right? So yeah. So I'm saying all that to the fam out there, and maybe some first timers out here. We all go through stuff, but the bottom line is, what are you going to do to get through it to the other side? Right? You can't let it defeat you. And probably 99% of y'all are going to go through something. Right? But I wrote a post this morning at 9:30 to say, anticipate the worst, but expect greatness. So that when you anticipate, you know that stuff's coming. It's coming. But you already got a plan for it because you anticipated it. But you always expect the best. Go read the post, y'all. It's on my Facebook page. So anyway, let's go through these rapid fire questions. These are 20 questions where all I want is one sentence or one word.
Okay.
Your choice. But if you find yourself inserting the comma too long, here we go. Is education on the right path for underserved children in America?
Getting there.
Are you optimistic about the educational prospects for the masses of Black and brown students in America today?
It can be better.
Can true equity occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
If we focus on serving teachers.
Does Dwayne Reed's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Oh, absolutely.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
Different.
Why do you continue to do this work?
Because I love kids.
What fires you up within the work that you do?
My love for kids, but also my heart.
And what do you absolutely love about this work?
I would say kids, but
No, you could.
man, I just love the kids. I love seeing success actualized right in front of my eyes.
What do you dislike about this work?
Policies, programs, people not treating people like people.
What has been your greatest victory in your work thus far?
My first year students finna graduate this year. So
Oh, wow. Yeah. What was your greatest mistake in this work thus far?
not giving my first year students food whenever they asked.
What has been your greatest challenge in this work thus far?
People that don't recognize that they're standing in their own way.
Who inspires you in your work?
The everyday person.
What are you reading right now? It doesn't have to be a book. It could be a blog, an article, a tweet, anything.
My wife started a blog about her journeys as a content creator, so I'm reading that.
Okay. What book would you recommend for our viewers this afternoon?
Be That Teacher, Rehumanizing Education with Unapologetic Authenticity. No, but also,
That's cool.
yeah, the other one that comes to mind is There Are No Children Here by Alex Kotlowitz. It's a book that chronicles the lives of two Black boys living on the west side of Chicago during the 80s and 90s. Life-changing.
What do you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
Start a school.
Are you satisfied with where you are professionally right now?
No.
What could you say to a viewer out there who continues to face closed doors?
Keep knocking. Keep knocking till you knock the doors down.
What could you say to a viewer out there who's lost their fire?
Sometimes that's okay. Go where the fire is.
And finally, if Dwayne Reed was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Dope.
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 That's it. That's the first one. I asked this question to every guest, and it's been like 200 some odd, and you the first one that's just said dope. I like that. Let me tell you something, man. I appreciate you. This was powerful. You were the first guest that I've ever had on here that made me feel my age. You made me feel old in a good way. Yeah, but because a lot of the guests on here, they're administrators, and there's certain common language we speak and all that kind of thing. But you came with a different level of authenticity, a certain youthness about you, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So let me say to the fam out there, you already know what we do, and you already started. Let our guests know if today's session resonated with you, if it inspired you, if you found some nuggets you can take back to school. And I'm talking even leadership, right? Because a teacher would be on this call right now and be clapping all day. But I'm hoping that leaders said, I need to rethink some things, right? I'm hoping, because that was my objective for this discussion, in the way I spent all day preparing, right? So yesterday. And that was my objective. So yeah, I see all these emojis coming. So keep the emojis coming, y'all. Let them know if it was something you could use. And in the meantime, let me get my emoji. I use my Louisville Slugger. And you hit it out the park. Chicago American Giant style. All hit it out the park. Grand slam every time you came to bat. So I appreciate that. So tell the folks, do you get a chance to speak on the side and that type of thing?
I do. So,
tell them how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, you can follow up anywhere on social media works, millennial, but also just my website or my email, Dwayne P. Reed gmail.com. And then, yeah, if I can get on the circuit with you one day, that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm aspiring towards.
All right, well then let's talk offline, and then we'll I'll show you what you got to do. But folks, yeah, keep those emojis coming, keep them coming. Appreciate you. Let me any closing thoughts to the fam, Mr. Reed?
Yeah, man, just love yourself. The more you love yourself, the better you'll be equipped to love others. And man, as a person of faith, just let the love of God rule over you, and that's what makes life worth it.
Love it. Y'all go to the YouTube channel. It's Mr. Reed channel, right?
Yeah, just Mr. Reed. You type in Mr. Reed anywhere, I'm more than likely gonna come up. So you'll
come up. Yeah. So go to that YouTube channel and check out that video. If you were those of you that came on late, if you were impressed with Shannon and Shannon Sharp, Club Shay Shay, and Cat Williams with the 82 million. Mr. Reed has a video of 113 million, right? So and that was from like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So check that out, right? Stay on for me even when I go off. Folks, let me close out. Appreciate you being here. First timers, appreciate you being here. Make sure that this is not your last time. Next week we go into week number 238. I think I'll be in Houston when I do that one, because I gotta do a keynote in Houston. But I got 2 guests from Houston. I ought to hook it up so we could be together live. But however we do it, Dr. Lawrence Cohn and Kim Hughesman, they're the leaders of what's called Leadership Partners, based in Rice University in Houston, and I've been doing a lot of work with them over the past many years. And I'm finally bringing them on as guests. So come on, and we're gonna be talking school leadership. Next Saturday, 2:30, week 238 at 10:55 Eastern time. Every Saturday morning, Facebook Live, Sean Hurt, 10 o'clock, followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor, myself at 10:55. Super Saturday, we call it. And then we round it out on Sundays with Dr. Madi Morena and Josh Tovar. And we call that the Fantastic Four. So make sure that you check us out. Also, that's every Saturday, but also let me get this thing up here. Where we at? Come on now. Where we at? Here it is. Hey, y'all, I'm covering Dwayne for a minute, but the new joint. If you don't have a copy yet, what is my value? Instructionally. You see, we kind of isolated that word or highlighted that word. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? If you haven't pre-ordered your copy yet, go ahead and pre-order. It comes out December 16th, but I want you to pre-order, because I don't want you to hit me up. The last 4 books I wrote for ASCD sold out on release date, so I don't want you to miss out. So hopefully they're looking at the numbers, because a lot of people have pre-ordered. The book goes to #1 every Saturday and Sunday on Amazon administration. Every Saturday and Sunday, you all take it to #1. Doesn't stay at #1 because it's not out yet, but you take it to #1. So usually by around 11 o'clock p.m., midnight, it's sitting there at #1, right? So I appreciate all the love in anticipation of this book. So get yourself a copy, ascd.org, or just go to Amazon and pre-order, and they will ship it to you on December the 16th, right? So let me take it off. And where we at? Subscribe to the AP and New Principles Academy YouTube channel. We're at 22,800. Let's keep it going. So subscribe to it. Just hit that subscribe button and then hit the notifications button to remind you that I'm on live. Like and follow the AP and New Principles Academy Facebook page. That's when I write my commentary on Sunday morning. I'll have one up not later than 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, based on a lot of what we talked about today. So make sure you check that out. PrincipalCafele.com for all my additional resources. And then lastly, y'all, as I say every week, your diet. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, man. Eat right. Because if you're not taking care of you, then you're not in position to take care of them, those young people, and your staffs, those of you in leadership. Your exercise, get it in, man. I was out last night, man. It was dark, like 8 o'clock, man, doing my 3 miles, walking around Jersey City. That's what I do. So just make sure you get that time in. Let my heart attack, for those of you that never had one, let my heart attack be your example. Right. I only do this because I had the heart attack, and I don't want to have another one, because it might not be, the outcome may not be the same. Right. And then that type 2 diabetes, it came with the heart attack. So that's why I'm an advocate for you all taking care of yourselves. And then lastly, those virus precautions, man. Do whatever. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you, just make sure that you are mindful of the fact that there's a whole lot of disease out here. Right. Whole lot of disease. So make sure you take care of you. Other than that, and stay on, Dwayne, have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back. Count the 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! Another one on the books, y'all. I see y'all next weekend. Y'all have a great week.